Happy Valley Beijing is the premier thrill park in China's capital city. This park features some of the most notable coasters in China. It also had much better theming than anticipated. However, this park has some very frustrating operations. In this video, I will provide an in-depth review covering everything you need to know about Happy Valley Beijing. This will be especially true if you're visiting from abroad such as myself. Overseas Chinese Town, or OCT, is one of the largest theme park operators in China. They currently operate 20 different theme parks. Their signature chain is Happy Valley. They have 9 of these parks all across China. The first one opened in Shenzhen in 1997. The second one opened in Beijing in 2006. This was the first Chinese theme park I ever visited, and it is the only Happy Valley park I have visited thus far. That being said, I have noticed some similarities between the ride offerings, theming, and operations across the chain from seeing other trip reports. Let's start with the arrival experience. The park is located in the Chaoying district of Beijing. It is highly accessible. There are a few different ways to get here. The park has a paid parking lot, but I did not have a car during my time in China. You also can get here via public transit. There are buses nearby, and the park also has its own dedicated subway station. This is the cheapest way to access the park. I used a rideshare service for timing and convenience. It was also very affordable compared to what they cost in other countries. I used Didi. This is the analogous service to Uber in China. This was booked directly through the Alipay app. Alipay and WeChat are 2 very critical apps if you're visiting China. These are essentially apps within apps, as they run a series of mini programs. Happy Valley is one such program on WeChat. These 2 apps are also the preferred forms of payment in China, including Happy Valley. Not many places accept credit cards, and places do not like taking cash. You can link a credit card or your bank account to these programs. You then show a barcode to pay. Think of it like Venmo for businesses. You want to set these up before you arrive in China, because there's an identity verification step that is not instant. You need internet for these programs to work. I had a mobile hotspot device. I did not want to use Wi-Fi in China because I knew the country's firewall would not be compatible with many of my apps. Now that you know how to pay, you can buy your tickets. Happy Valley usually costs 300 Chinese yuan, or roughly $43 at the gate. That is pricier than a lot of Chinese theme parks, but that's much cheaper than a park of comparable size in other countries. And I think the price ultimately is good value for everything this park offers. Many Chinese websites do not accept Western credit cards. You can buy tickets from third-party sites like Klook or Trip.com. Alternatively, you can buy tickets in person using Alipay or WeChat. 2 discounts to be aware of if you're buying in person. 1, if you're a foreigner who landed in China within 7 days, the park offers some savings. Just show your passport and arrival plane ticket. 2, there was an afternoon discount available the day I visited. I believe it applied after 3 or 4 p.m. Happy Valley is open year-round. It usually opens at 10 a.m. During the quieter periods, it is usually open until roughly 8:30 p.m. In peak periods, it is often open until 10 p.m. Those are very long hours. I just wish the rides were open that long. Unfortunately, the ride hours vary wildly. It is common for every single roller coaster here to open late and close early. On the day I visited, most coasters opened 1 or 2 hours late and closed 1 or 2 hours early. The park's B&M Flyer, Crystal Wing, is the biggest offender. It typically opens 2 hours late and closes at least 3 or 4 hours early. The dark rides and flat rides tend to have longer hours, but again, some will close several hours before the park does. The rides in the Fantasy Indoor area consistently have the longest hours. Fortunately, Happy Valley publishes the operating hours for each ride on their website. This can be accessed in 2 ways. First, you can go to the rides page. The hours are listed underneath each attraction. Second, you can go to the park guide and select equipment operating hours. For example, today, Crystal Wing is open from 12 until just 4:30 p.m. This again shows just how limited that ride's hours have been over the past year. It is worth noting the operating hours are the times the queue line is accessible. This means you can hop in line right before the ride's posted closing time and still be able to ride, even if there's a sizable wait. I did that right before Flight of the Himalayan Eagle music roller coaster closed for the night. And I did it again with the Odyssey Shoot the Chutes, which shockingly stayed open until the park closed and still had a wait at that point. The wait time board or entrance sign by each attraction also lists the individual hours, but it's easier to get this in advance from the website versus having to walk up to each attraction and be surprised the day of. The park guide also has an equipment maintenance checklist, but this is not too helpful. This is currently empty. Rides that have had extended closures have been completely removed from the website. For example, the Extreme Rusher roller coaster, which has been closed since late 2023, is nowhere to be found on the website. The park will post the daily ride closures at the ticket booth at least, and this is all inclusive. If you see a ride missing from the website, there is a very good chance it will be closed for your visit. Outside of that, it is very difficult to predict ride closures at this park because they do not list their maintenance calendar in advance. I get when year-round parks need to close something for a refurbishment. I just wish they'd post that in advance, especially if they internally know that refurbishment is coming. Of the rides that were scheduled to be available, I did not notice any downtime. That was a very encouraging sign to see. One other important touring note, I believe most thrill rides at this park will close in the rain. That is the case with most thrill rides in China. I had 2 days in Beijing. My first day was supposed to be Universal Studios Beijing, and my second day was supposed to be Happy Valley. But I noticed that second day had a massive rainstorm, so I swapped the parks around, and I'm glad I did. Whereas Universal had plenty of indoor attractions available, the roller coasters never opened at Happy Valley that day, so this ended up being my first theme park in China. How are wait times at this park? Oftentimes, long. On the day I visited, most coasters had hour waits all day long. Then several of the supporting rides were pulling 20 to 30 minute waits as well. There are 3 factors at play. 1. Crowds. Happy Valley Beijing typically pulls 4 to 5 million visitors per year. That has similar attendance as something like Knott's Berry Farm or SeaWorld Orlando. 2. Operations. This park frequently runs just one train in the coasters. I visited in the summer, yet this was the case in all the coasters during my visit except for Flight of the Himalayan Eagle B&M Hypercoaster. To add insult to injury, dispatch speeds are slower than what you'd expect from parks in North America or Europe. 3. Staggered ride opening times. At most theme parks, your best bet to beating crowds is to arrive at opening. However, you cannot do this effectively at Happy Valley because the signature rides are not yet available. So what can you do to avoid the worst waits? 1. Visit on an off-peak day if possible. That is a general guidance with most parks. 2. Research the ride hours and hop in line for those attractions towards the end of their operating days. I did this with several rides. The flat rides and dark rides were all walk-ons with this approach. Odyssey and Flight of the Himalayan Eagle were both half-hour waits after they closed their queues, compared to the hour waits they were earlier in the day. 3. Consider purchasing skip-the-line passes. These are sold per attraction. They cost 80 Chinese yuan, or $11 per person per ride. But they are major time savers because they route you directly to the load platform for most attractions. These are available for the Apollo Chariot Giant Frisbee, the water rides, and most roller coasters. The only coaster excluded is the Vekoma SLC. There are 2 methods to purchase these. 1. They can be purchased online in the WeChat Happy Valley app. There are QR codes by the attraction that will navigate you to this page. This method always works. 2. They can be purchased from the greeter at the attraction using Alipay or WeChat. This worked 90% of the time. There were some instances when there was not a greeter. The staggered openings and waits were definitely annoying, but I was able to have a good day by doing my research in advance when things would be open, and I used some skip-the-line passes for particularly bad waits. On that note, I want to talk about the queue lines. Going into my visit, I had been warned that queue jumping was quite common in China. The only time I saw this happen was if someone left a large gap in the queue and did not move forwards for several seconds. At the end of most queues, just enough people are admitted into the station to fill the next train. Seating is then on a first-come basis. For the most part, I was able to get my desired rows on all the coasters, especially because I had the skip the line pass on a few of them and was admitted first. I am not sure if you're allowed to wait an extra cycle if the row you want is already occupied, but I imagine you can just let people pass you before you reach the load platform. That is fine in most countries, because most people behind you are more than happy to board faster. With regards to loose articles, most rides have cubbies in the load platform for your belongings, but a few will have everything ride with you. The latter is the case with the water rides, which can get you soaked. Those rides do offer paid lockers by the entrance. I'm not sure how much they cost though. Alternatively, those rides sell ponchos inside the queue line. This is a very popular phenomenon at Chinese and Japanese theme parks. If you wear one of these, you can hide your bag underneath it. If you wear glasses, be prepared to remove them on thrill rides. I saw most people doing this. I deliberately wore contacts because I knew most Asian parks have riders remove glasses. Two other weird things I noticed before walking through the park. One, many guests and employees were driving around in carts. They were about as common as an ECV at Walt Disney World, so just be careful walking down the midway because there's a good chance a vehicle will be coming at you at any given moment. 2. I had many guests throughout the day take my picture. It is my understanding this is common in China with foreigners. A lot of people who did were friendly, and they would ask for permission. Now that I've covered all the operational issues, let's talk about the park itself. Happy Valley Beijing is a theme park. I've heard from many this is arguably the best themed park in the chain, and I was very impressed with how this park looked. It obviously is not on the caliber of a Disney or Universal park, but I thought the theming was on par with an above-average European theme park. From the main entrance, you cannot see too much, but it's a wow moment once you're inside. I immediately could not help but notice how colorful the park was, and that carried through most areas. The first land is Happy Hour. This is probably the weakest overall area, because it doesn't have one coherent theme. It is just color and energy. The star of this area has a great photo opportunity with this giant character statue of an orange character. And I mean a literal orange like the fruit. And in the backdrop, you see the large mountain that the B&M Flyer interacts with. This looks amazing, and it serves as the centerpiece of the park. The layout then forms a loop around a lagoon. This makes the park fairly easy to navigate, and there are some cool vantage points looking over the water. Going clockwise, the next land is Dessert Kingdom. This is themed to sweets. Many rides and buildings have candy decorations embedded into them, and the rides have pastel color palettes. Some of the food characters are a bit creepy to look at, but I find that part kind of funny. Next is my personal favorite themed area, Shangri-La. This is a mythical place in the Himalayan mountains. It has traditional Tibetan architecture, gates, and lanterns all throughout the land, and each of these is infused with bright colors. You then have Lost Maya. This land has an adventure vibe, as many attractions and buildings incorporate brickwork into them. You then have Aegean Port, which is comprised of two distinct sub-areas. The area by Odysseus is grand with these giant stone statues and temples. This part looks incredible. Then there's the fantasy indoor area. This has an underwater vibe with a color palette. This then leads to the Playa Maya water park. The entrance has a similar vibe to Lost Maya. Then the water slides are in the center of the park adjacent to the lagoon. It is a weird spot for the water park to be placed, as most times it's on the edge of the property, not the middle. This park looks solid by day, but it really comes alive at night. China loves photo opportunities, so the park has all sorts of multicolored LED lights all throughout the park. This includes some auxiliary thematic structures and the rides themselves. The water slides and Flight of the Himalayan Eagle music roller coaster in particular look stunning at night. They look like giant pieces of art with all those twinkling lights. I also thought the park had plenty of shade between the indoor spaces, foliage, and the queue coverings. This very much was appreciated considering I visited during the humid summer months. Now let's run through the ride lineup. As I go through the rides, you will probably notice the rides have weird and sometimes long names. I suspect that is a product of them being translated into English. The park currently has 6 different roller coasters. The best operating coaster is Flight of the Himalayan Eagle music roller coaster. This is a Bolliger Mabillard hypercoaster, but this is one of the weaker ones due to 2 notable differences. 1. It does not quite hit the 200-foot mark. 2. Many of the camelbacks and bunny hills are banked. Compare that to most rides like it that have a series of straight hills. It has solid sustained floater airtime, but most B&M hypers are stronger in this department. Still, the airtime is plentiful, and I love the layout's placement. It runs along the pathway and interacts with the lagoon, complete with a splashdown element. I think I likely would have preferred Extreme Rusher, the park's S&S compressed air launch coaster. I absolutely love Max Force's Six Flags Great America, and Extreme Rusher has a statistically comparable launch and a layout that I've heard has some powerful ejector airtime. However, this coaster has been closed since October of 2023. That was when Bullet Coaster, a similar ride at Happy Valley Shenzhen, suffered an accident. All rides like it in the OCT chain have been closed ever since as a precaution, and I do not believe this park has publicly stated whether or not it'll reopen in the future. Another headlining coaster is Crystal Wing. This is a Bolliger Mabillard flying coaster in that aforementioned mountain. The visuals are wonderful both on and off ride. The layout is a clone of the Superman Ultimate Flight coasters at the Six Flags parks. I love the pretzel loop. This is crazy intense positive Gs. The other turns are more graceful and thrilling, but that works given the strong sightlines. Golden Wings over the Snowfield is a Vekoma SLC, but this is not the standard layout. This is the Shenlin layout, which has made its way to 3 different Happy Valley parks and Flamingo Land in Kumali. But this installation is a bonus helix at the end. If you've seen my review of Kumali, you know this layout is pretty good. The inversions and helixes have nice power, and the ride is reasonably smooth for the most part. There is just a very bad jerk on the Cobra roll, which will cause unavoidable headbanging due to the bulky over-the-shoulder restraints. Brace yourself for that. There's also another invert at this park. It's a B&M family invert uncreatively named Family Inverted Coaster. This is nearly identical to the 395-meter layout that Vekoma offers for their suspended coaster, but I think this one offers better forces. There are solid positive Gs on the turns and valleys, and this one is glossy smooth, unlike some of the newer ones of this model. The final coaster is a mine train coaster known as Jungle Racing. When I experienced it in 2025, it was a Vekoma mine train identical to Calamity Mine at Walibi, Belgium. There was some temple theming and a series of okay turns, but this ride closed shortly after my visit and is currently being replaced by a similar ride from Jinma Rides. Overall, I think the coaster lineup is strong if they can get Extreme Rusher open once again. That will give the park a nice 1-2 punch that complements each other. I also think they need to add a true junior coaster with a low height requirement in the future for kids. Moving on to the flat rides, this park has a really nice collection. There are a few different inverting flats. The inverting pendulum and the top spin were down for maintenance for me, but there was a Zamperla power surge which is always delightfully disorienting. The park also has 2 different frisbee rides. There's Deep Sea Vortex in the indoor section, which offers a larger quantity of airtime pops. Then, there's a Huss Giant Frisbee and Apollo Chariot that offers superior forces. This one is a shorter cycle, but the max swings offer decent floater airtime, and the downswings offer substantial speed and positive Gs. There are also 2 S&S drop towers side by side. Both are roughly 20 stories tall and offer fantastic views of Beijing. I prefer the Falling Tower Turbo Drop. You have more time to take in the view, then the drop is suspenseful and more thrilling. Space Shuttle is a space shot that blasts you upwards. The launch is just okay, but there is some sweet lifter airtime at the top. Then the park has some smaller supporting flats peppered throughout the park. A lot of them are your typical spinning rides. A large chunk of them are in the front sections of the park. This is also where you'll have the best shot of finding the park's more kid-friendly attractions, particularly in that fantasy area. You also have some dark ride experiences. Happy World is a boat ride. It feels like a cross if it's a small world at the Disney parks and Carnival Festival at Efteling. The scenes showcase different countries with 2D cutouts and some smaller character props, and if you keep your eyes peeled, you may spot the occasional IP character as well. This is a long ride, and I've always had a morbid fascination with Disney knockoffs, so I really enjoyed it. I believe Alien Demon Cave is some sort of walkthrough haunt without any live actors. I skipped this due to time, but I've heard similar things are available across the whole Happy Valley chain. At one point, the park also had a flying theater called Flying Over the Aegean Sea. I believe this was located in the fantasy area, but I could not find it, nor was it listed on the park's website, nor the park closure board, so it is possible this has since closed. If anyone knows for sure, let me know down below. Then the park has two notable water rides. One is Yarlung Zangbo River Rafting. This is a long river rapids ride from Intamin, and it has a much more interesting layout than usual. There are two fun and steep drops. Oddly, neither make any splash, but rest assured, the other parts will get you wet, if not soaked. There are a series of rapids of varying size. Then one of the turns adjacent to the midway has a series of water guns that'll get you comically drenched if anyone is manning them. I strongly recommend a poncho for this one. The same can be said about Odyssey, the park's extended Shoot the Chutes ride from Hopkins. There were some surprising dark ride scenes. They were admittedly slow, especially since the characters were static, but the figures were large in scale. Then there are two drops. Both offer a tiny airtime pop in the back and have zip due to the boat's weight. The second is particularly great given its size. It is similar in height to Tidal Force at Hershey Park or Tidal Wave at Thorpe Park, and the resultant splash is ginormous and soaking. Then there's the aforementioned Playa Maya water park. It looked to have a nice mix of modern slides, including a water coaster, but I skipped it since I was short on time. Now, there is a general issue looming over this park. In China, rides have a service life of 20 years. This is public knowledge posted in the station for each attraction. After that 20-year mark, parks have one of two options. 1. Remove the attraction. 2. Perform a risk assessment and update the attraction to comply with the latest operational and safety standards. Since Happy Valley Beijing opened in July of 2006, we are just a few months away from the 20-year mark exactly. This park has some major decisions to make with their coasters. We have already seen them choose to remove and replace jungle racing. If I were to guess, I suspect Golden Wings over the snowfield could also be in danger. Happy Valley Shenzhen removed their Vekoma SLC after the 20-year mark. I do think Crystal Wing has a reasonable chance of continuing operation. I think it would be beneficial to perform a risk assessment in this case. That not only is a highly popular attraction, but it is interwoven with that aforementioned mountain. It would not be easy to remove or replace that ride without losing the park's mountain, which again serves as the central icon. I also suspect they may replace a handful of their original flat rides, which were provided by foreign manufacturers, and I think they'd replace them with Chinese versions. This is what they have done at the Shenzhen and Beijing park thus far when replacing rides, and the water rides could be coming up on their expiration date as well. Those again have layouts that are integrated into their respective areas, so they would be much harder to outright replace. But it is definitely worth keeping tabs on what this park does going forwards, particularly with the coasters. We could see similar decisions with the other Happy Valley parks that came afterwards as well. Beyond the rides, this park has some live shows. I was struggling to find the show times on their website in advance, and since I only had a half day, I prioritized the rides over these, but some look to be quite impressive in terms of their scale. There also is entertainment along the midway. This includes music and parades. I was able to catch part of the energetic night parade from a distance, and it looked quite fun. I ate my meals outside the park, but I got a potato twister that was solid. Most of the eateries are smaller shops, including a stretch between Lost Mai and Aegean Port that's lined with all sorts of small shops. This sort of reminded me of what you'd see at a carnival. Then I believe each area had at least one larger restaurant as well. One weird thing I noticed was a cat cafe over by the family inverted coaster. I had never seen one of these inside a theme park before. Do I recommend Happy Valley Beijing? Yes, I do. This is a very good theme park. It definitely surpassed my expectations. The biggest con, in my opinion, are those operations. Definitely do your homework to see what attractions are available and when they are open. Otherwise, you can encounter a lot of headaches. Similarly, I would budget for some skip the line passes for a few of the coasters as well if you want to maximize your time. If this park could fix the dispatch speeds and ride operating times, this review would have been glowing pretty much start to finish. Because as I noted, the theming was much better than expected, and there were some beautiful sections of this park. This park is such a pleasant atmosphere, and the ride lineup is very well rounded. The mix of non-coasters is fantastic, and the roller coasters are solid as well. The biggest gap in my opinion is an extreme coaster with ejector air time, but they already have that with Extreme Rusher if they can get that ride operating again. Then just keep tabs on this park's lineup over the next few months, with that 20-year service life window fast approaching. How much time is needed depends on your interests. If you only care about the coasters, you can comfortably do this park in a half day, especially if you use the skip the line passes. Again, just double check on the website when things are open. If you want the full theme park experience, this absolutely is a full day park. There is a wide range of offerings top to bottom. Those are my thoughts on Happy Valley Beijing. What are your thoughts on this theme park? If you have been to the other Happy Valleys, or any other parks in China, let me know how this one compares. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.